You hear a lot of people say this, and I totally agree with it. They say, fail fast, and it's so true. But it also ties into the procrastination conversation. What is procrastination? Procrastination is nothing more than the delay of the gifts that God is ready to present us with. And we're saying, no, we're not ready for those. How about tomorrow? Because when you're on your path, you're doing what you need to do, you tend to be in alignment and the gifts come abundantly. So that's why sometimes we say, hey, fail fast, because if you started the project last Monday, you would have found out that the piece that is missing takes a week to come in the mail, and now your whole project's been pushed back a week, you can't even start. But if you started on Monday, you knew, oh, I'm missing this piece, so it'll be here next Monday, and now you can begin working on your project. Fail fast ties into procrastination very quickly. Also, you have a lot of people that are afraid to fail. They're afraid to make mistakes. But you have to make mistakes. You have to fail. That's the only way you learn. That's the only way you gain experience. So I want people to fail. I want people to mess up. Don't be afraid of messing up. A lot of people want perfection straight out the gate. You start a podcast or a show, and the first one, they want it to be perfect straight out the gate. That's not possible. Just go. Done is better than perfect. Fail fast. What's up, people? Hotep Jesus. We are back. And for those that are not familiar, I am
that Hotep Jesus dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Welcome all. It's great to be here. Some of you may have noticed that there's a bit of difference here with the camera. Yes, I have increased my camera quality. Thanks to all the lovely super chats, everyone supporting the channel, our sponsor, etc., etc. Like I said, we don't bullshit. We reinvest our profits to make what we do bigger, better, and badder. So I appreciate all of you for supporting. If you'd like to support the channel, hit the super chat. Hit the super chat right now. That would be most appreciated. Alternatively, you can. I'm still trying to get it to focus on me and not there we go. Cash App $ Hotep Jesus. Cash App $ Hotep Jesus. If you'd like to support me there, I shout out all my Cash Appers. Shout out to Khalid Muhammad, Renee Vogel, and everyone else who supports on Cash App. I truly appreciate you. What else did I want to talk about today? Hold on, let me okay, drop the chair down a little bit so we can get the Hotep Nation hat in there. There we go. All right. It's still, you gotta bear with me because, like I said, it's new equipment and we're just getting adjusted. Okay, looks like things are going well. Great. Let's talk about our sponsor, Cisco. Cisco has been an amazing sponsor to me. But I wanted to see what the people thought, right? Before I come out and start shelling coins and whatnot. I wanted to see what the people thought. So I asked a question the other day on Twitter, and I asked, what do you guys think about the Cisco project? And outside of the banal, regular Bitcoin maxi rhetoric, which really isn't supported by any technical jargon, any technical feedback, it's just like, oh, it's not Bitcoin, so it's bad. And it's just like, all right, whatever. Outside of that stuff, it's a pretty convincing project. Many people have said that they've stood the test of time. They've gone through 2 bear markets and they're still here. But what was interesting to me was what people were saying. I was like, they were talking about like the roll-ups, the ZK roll-ups, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all that type of stuff. So I spent some time today learning about this blockchain technology.
so that when people talk about this stuff, I know exactly what they're talking about, and I know what I'm shilling. And it's quite miraculous because the type of technology they're using, which is a layer one solution, can rival the transactions that Visa currently handles. You know, the amount of transactions they handle per second or however they measure that. So check out Syscoin. I'm probably going to be taking a position on Syscoin very, very soon. You know, I like to time my stuff, and then after that, I dollar cost average. So I think I'm going to take a position on this very, very soon. So shout out to Syscoin and the great team over there. What else? What else do we want to talk about? Oh, let's just get right into today's feature presentation. And I'll bring that up on your screen in just a moment. Where should we start? Let's start with Alex Jones. Let's see here. Let's go to my profile. How do I look on your screen now? Okay, good. I look good. All right, wonderful. Let's go here. Let's pull this up on your screen, and let's go ahead and let's hit play on this. Let's see what Alex Jones said.
You did so many good things. You fought the globalists. They hate your guts. They're setting you up. They're already leaving the sinking ship. You need to come out. And so Trump tried to call me. I missed the call. He reached out to one of his supporters, one of his advisors, and said, why is Alex saying that?
You know, that's power. It's absolute power. When a former president is like, yo, I got to talk to this dude. Call him up. I got issues. I wish Trump would call me up and say he got issues with me. That would be pretty cool. It goes to show you the type of power that Alex Jones has. I mean, many people say that Trump can owe his win to Alex Jones, at least partly, and I would agree.
So I shot an emergency message about a week and a half ago to Trump. He got it. He watched it. And then I got the response back. And Trump told the people that brought it to him, I've talked to him in the meeting, and Trump said, I don't want to hear about questioning this so-called vaccine again. I call it a so-called vaccine. He said, I don't want to hear about this again from anybody. I think it's good, and that's it. So Trump, last Friday, in response to all of this, said, I believe what I did was good. It's an effective vaccine. It works, and that's it. Even though they admit it doesn't work. Even though they admit it's hurting people, even though they admit it's a fraud, he still says 95% effective. And that's Trump doing that. That's not me. So I gave Trump until the 23rd of September to, not an ultimatum, but just a point of time to say, you're not part of this. We know the Democrats tried to make it mandatory. We know the Democrats tried to make people take it. You're against making the military take it. You're against kids take it.
Alex Jones said, you got to the 23rd. You got to the 23rd. Trump, we holding you accountable. I think we should definitely appreciate Alex Jones for this. And flexing his muscles and using his power to get Trump on board with the messaging that the people want to hear.
Them. We just don't want them to blame you now for what they've done. And his answer is, no, I back it. That's it. So I'm done talking about Trump. I'm not attacking Trump. I'm not supporting Trump. I'm going to support people like Bolsonaro and DeSantis that are coming out saying the shot doesn't work. We were lied to. It's a fraud. I'm not against Trump. I don't hate Trump. I'm not his enemy. But he took $1 million from Pfizer, which is not that much to be bought out by.
So I just wanted to clarify for people that are not aware of the $1 million. I think this was reported in 2017 that Pfizer was one of the companies that donated to the Trump campaign.
That's not why he's doing this. He said he's the vaccine man. He said he saved hundreds of millions of people. He led Operation Warp Speed.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Trump did lead Operation Warp Speed. He absolutely did. He wanted to take credit for it, et cetera, et cetera. I'm I might text Alex Jones and ask him, but he's not talking about Trump anymore, so it might not make sense to. But I wanted him to ask Trump, which manufacturer do you support of the vaccine? Do you support Pfizer? Do you support Moderna? Do you support J&J? Because I'm under the impression that he supports J&J, and if you guys have watched, and you heard me speak about this plenty of times, but Dr. Tanai Briggs has some interesting things to say about the difference between the different types of vaccine, J&J being the more traditional version, and Moderna and the rest being the mRNA technology. You've watched my stream before, so I'm not going to bore you with the details in regards to that. And if you haven't, go watch the stream with Dr. Tanai Riggs, who we're going to be bringing back on this channel with a lot more content. And he'll be at HotepCon next year. That's confirmed. We're bringing him out to HotepCon. If you didn't come to HotepCon this year, you totally missed out. Anyway, let's move right along. Truth Social. Truth Social is having some troubles. As expected, right? I did a video on Truth Social, so you guys should know about this. And basically what it says here is Google. Here's why Truth Social still isn't in the Play Store. So apparently people are complaining, and they're basically saying, oh my God, why isn't Truth Social available in the App Store? Anybody doesn't know, Google Play Store is for the Android devices, etc., etc. So let's take a look at this. So the reason why it says Trump's Truth Social app is not available on the Google Play Store due to lack of content moderation. I'm going to stop right there. I've spoken to plenty of social media companies over the past. We have sort of a social app. The Grifties is sort of a social app. And one thing about social media apps that I really, really hate is the content moderation. Content moderation is a BITCH. People could junk it up. Also, they could use bots to junk it up. And when I say junk it up, it's just putting low value content on there, pornography, graphic imagery, fucking human trafficking, all types of nonsense, right? But so moderation's like a full-time job when you have a social network, and I don't want to get involved in anything that requires moderation. It's just a huge pain in the neck. And in fact, we're going to be adding some new features to the Grifties, which is going to add a pain in the neck as far as moderation is concerned. If you'd like to be a moderator for the Grifties, let me know, because we're going to need your help when we load out this new feature. Shout out to Adam Rezick, who built the Grifties app. Anyway, let's go back. It says here, the company issued a statement today, several days after Truth Social CEO Devin Nunes implied in a TV interview Google was responsible for the holdup. When are we going to be available on Android? Well, look, that's up to Google Play Store. We're waiting on them to approve us, Nunes told Real America's Voice. I don't know what's taking so long. So I'm going to stop right there. Because what I think this seems to be some sort of sales play. If we play it up as if the evil Google doesn't want us in their store, then we can rile up the troops and sort of build buzz around the app, get more downloads, get more users. And I'm not going to hate on that. I'm not a hater. We all know everybody got to get their grift on. So if Truth Social got to get their grift on, they got to get their grift on. It is what it is. So that's that part. Now, the other thing is, could it be true that Google's like, oh, this is a Trump app, so we're going to give them a bit harder time? Absolutely. I would never deny that. That's definitely plausible. However, my day job used to be marketing mobile apps. That's what I used to do back when I had a day job, when I was lucky enough to have a day job. I was working on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, mostly doing App Store optimization, right? ASO, App Store optimization. And I can tell you that getting through even when you have an app in the store already, right, and you're about to issue a new update, it could be a BITCH. We had an issue one time with an app, and I basically, Apple said, hey, look, we're not going to approve this version of the app. There was something wrong with it. Take it out, try it again. And basically what I told the company, I said, don't change anything in the code. What you're going to do is you're going to change the copy on the marketing and then just send them the same code to be approved. And after a few weeks, they tried a whole bunch of other things. They tried going illegal. They tried doing a whole bunch of other stuff. Then they tried what I said. And miraculously, the app was approved. Now, what did I know that these people at this app company did not know? Well, I know that the people moderating these, the people handling this moderation of approval, it's some low-wage employee, right? It's not exactly the highest paying job. This is some minimum wage employee, and I'm using minimum wage loosely, obviously, but some minimum wage employee who's just not getting paid enough to deal with the BS. So you can get over on them, is basically what I'm saying. Okay, so that's just a bit of background on the App Store and how this claim could be legitimate. This claim that True Social is not meeting standards. It could be legitimate. So let's continue reading. It says on August 19th, we notified True Social of several violations of standard policies in their current app submission and reiterated that having effective systems for moderating user-generated content is a condition of our terms of service for any app to go live on Google Play, the company said in a statement. Last week, True Social wrote back acknowledging our feedback and saying that they are working on addressing these issues. Actually, this was the first to report in the news. The company also told PC Mag that Nunes misrepresented the ongoing dialogue Google is having with True Social about how to meet the App Store requirements. Google points out the Play Store's policies prohibit content that includes physical threats and incitements to violence. And we're going to touch on that in just a moment. I appreciate all my super chatters. I'll get right to you. I can't see them. I don't even know if they came in, but if they did, I'll get right to you. So it says here, True Social does have some content moderation systems already in place to take down illegal activities. Nevertheless, some posts that imply incitements of violence can still circulate there. Earlier this month, the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Reform sent a letter to True Social to voice concern about a surge of online threats appearing on the platform after the FBI raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. One user on True Social posted, F the feds. The Second Amendment is not about shooting deer. Lock and load. Another wrote, arm yourselves. We are about to enter civil war. In response to Google, True Social's parent, Trump Media and Technology Group, TMTG, issued a statement that says TMTG has continuously worked in good faith with Google to ensure that the True Social Android app complies with Google's policies without compromising our promise to be a haven for free speech. We look forward to Google approving True Social at their earliest convenience. This is just messy. I'm gonna explain why. This is just it's just terrible. It's so much wrong here. So I said this before, and I'll say it again. There's no such thing as free speech. It's free speech on the internet. There's no place that's safe for free speech. The only person that has any amount of room for free speech is an anonymous user on a site like maybe 4chan. That's about as good as you're going to get. If you as an individual, you place your face, your name on the internet, no matter where you place it, and you say something politically incorrect, you could be canceled no matter where you say this, right? So it doesn't matter if you say it on True Social, Rumble, or some other platform, you're still going to be canceled. You can still be liable to lose your job and have issues at school or wherever it is that you interact with the general populace. The other thing is the tech companies, right? Like these tech companies like True Social, et cetera, they come out and they say, hey, we're an app for free speech. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. The closest thing is probably Gab. Gab is probably the closest thing you're going to get to a free speech app. And that's because they control their servers. They're not asking to be in the Google store. They're not asking to be in Apple App Store. And in fact, they've already been kicked out of those stores. So it's not even possible for them to exist in those distribution channels. And that leads me to my next point. Everybody wants to talk about, creating, these apps, et cetera, but big tech still controls the distribution channels. And this also goes back to the populace and being the populace. And everybody wants to create something, some way, somehow. But, we need our big dogs to start thinking about distribution. One big dog that thought about distribution and actually went and purchased a company and started managing distribution is none other than Sean Jay-Z Carter. You can say what you want about the guy, but he owns Tidal. He bought it really cheap. It's worth more than when he paid for it, so he already made a mean flip. But it's a distribution channel and he controls it. This is an old technique even the Chinese understand. For example, I remember some young ladies, some black young ladies, they wanted to start up a hair store, hair supply, all of that good stuff. And they open up their store, they take pictures, everybody on the internet's like, yay, black girl magic, right? But guess what? Grand opening, grand closing, because sometime later, the lady said, we had to go out of business. And people were asking, well, why? And they said, well, because the Chinese people wouldn't sell to us. And they own the distribution. They're the ones that are getting the products. They're coming from China. They're the ones that's putting them on the boats and bringing them here. And they have every right not to sell to you or hike the prices so high that you cannot afford them. So they actually had to go out of business because, well, their store just didn't have any products. They couldn't source them from anywhere. Black folks don't own many distribution channels. And so the Chinese understand business. They understand nepotism. So they have their hair stores and they are going to supply only their hair stores because Chinese support Chinese. And I think this is a very valuable lesson for Americans and all people in general. Nepotism is very powerful, but again, when it comes back to the distribution channels, you're True Social, and it's just kind of funny to me that you call yourself True Social and you guys want to battle big tech, but yet you want to be in the App Store. You want to be next to Apple. You want to be next to Google, and I can understand why. Those are some really good distribution channels. They also can be great revenue streams for you. Here's the thing. Here's the thing that Google and Apple offer that nobody else can offer. And it's the same thing that goes for content creators. And if you want to start up a social network, I'm going to give you $50,000, $100,000. Actually, this is $1 million worth of game, right? I'm going to give you. If you can't offer people the ability to be discovered, you don't have a social network. You just have an empty space where people can put stuff. When True Social enters the Apple App Store, the reason why they're doing that is because they have the ability to be discovered. And that's outside of the fact that you need Apple to install an app on your device, outside of like using Mastodon or something like that, right? Google Play, same thing, right? Although I believe there's workarounds with Google. But again, Google Play Store has, I don't know, however many millions of users, hundreds of million users, whatever their number is. And Apple as well, hundreds of millions, tens of millions, whatever it is. So what they're doing is they're giving you access to a population of people that they've cultivated. And that's why you want to put your stuff there. And that's why Apple can take 30% of your revenue. When you put an app on the App Store, I believe last time I checked, it was 30%. Some people complain about it, and I'm like, well, where is she going to go to get discovered? So it's sort of like a gift and a curse, double-edged sword. What do you call it? It's a tough decision to make, right? I just think there's a conflict of interest. On one side we say, hey, let's battle big tech. And then on the other side, it's like, hey, I need big tech. And it's just like, you kind of got to pick one, right? And I'm not a big fan of big tech at all. And here I am. I'm on Google right now. I'm talking to you right now on a Google-owned platform, YouTube. Why? They offer me the ability to be discovered, and it works very well for me. Do I want to stay here? Absolutely not. I'd love to send people directly to hotepnation.com and you watch the live streams there. And I'm sure we'll get to that point at some point in our career. But again, when you want to be in these distribution channels like Apple and Google Play, you're going to have to play by their rules, and they have certain rules. So now let's go back to free speech. When we talk about free speech and these things that people are saying, right? These insurrectionist rhetoric or whatever it is, however you want to call it, call to arms, Civil War, 1776, all this stuff, right? Blah, 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 blah. All this stuff that nobody's really going to actually take action on. It's just talking on social media. Is it free speech if, all right, let's take it here. So True Social says, hey, look, you can say this on our platform, and they make this promise to their user of being a free speech haven. But then it's like, okay, we want to be in the Google Play Store, and Google's like, well, we're not going to give you distribution to our users with the type of rhetoric we see on your app. So it's like, can you promise somebody free speech and not deliver? It's tough. It's tough. If I was in the True Social offices, I don't know what I would do, because I don't know if they have a board yet or however that stuff works. But in one hand, it's like, we got to make money. We're a company. We're in business to make money. On the other hand, you're beholden to your users. Now, if you ask me, Hotep Jesus, you say, what would you pick? Would you choose revenue, or would you choose to put your user first? So here's another piece of game. This is $1 million worth of game in the app world. In fact, product-wise, period. Always put the customer first. If you put the customer first, you'll have a superior product, and revenue will come. It will come with time. You might have to get a little bit more creative when you're dealing with digital apps like social media, because it's hard to monetize these places, and even Twitter has a hard time monetizing it. They're doing super follows and all types of other stuff I won't turn on, because it's just like, I just came to tweet. I didn't come to charge people for my tweets. It's just really weird. All right, whatever. What was I going with that? Yeah. So can you make that promise and then not deliver? I don't think you can. I think you have to put the user first. I think they have to say, look, our users want to use Jan 6 talk on this platform. And if we have to choose between them and Google Play, I'm going to choose my users and say, you know what, Google Play, we don't want to be in your app store. We'll find some other way to get our stuff on people's phones. The problem with apps is, and Apple is really good at doing this. Apple loves to create proprietary things, whether it be software or hardware. They phased out Flash. Was it Microsoft or Apple that phased out Flash? I forget who it was, but Flash used to be a technology. Then it got phased out, and now everything's HTML5 or JavaScript. And then Apple started doing the whole thing from USB to USB-C. Then they started doing the Thunderbolt, so you can't just buy any old adapter. You have to buy an Apple adapter, right? Or an Apple devices. So they like to do these things to keep people in their world and make everybody conform to their world. And the same thing happens with these apps. You can't exactly exist on a device as an app without Apple, without Google. I mean, you can create a website, a mobile web app, which is basically just a website. like Grifties, the Grifties. You go to grifties.com, it's a mobile web, right? Mobile web app. Or a web app optimized for mobile, however you want to say that. But we're not in an app store, but we're an app, right? It's an application. So you might have to operate like that. You might have to operate like, and then you just create a shortcut, right? You say people like Gab does this, right? They say, hey, look, we're a mobile app, or we're a web-based mobile app, and just save it as a shortcut. And it looks like a mobile app icon right on your phone, and it'll open up just like a mobile app. That's one way around it. You're just not going to have access to Apple's people, to Apple's users, to Google's users. And that's a decision you have to make. But something like a True Social, you know, why would you want access to Google's people? Why would you want access to Apple's people? They're a bunch of like blue-haired normies, right? If anybody's going to be on this app, it's going to be your core users, your core Trump people, and just focus on, you know, you've paid a whole bunch of influencers to get people on the app. Focus on your influencer program. Focus on, you know, maybe some advertising or some other means to onboard people, and don't worry so much about it. But that's my advice for the True Social people. Put the user first. Let people say what they want on the app. If they want to talk that two-way talk, that 1776 talk, let them talk that talk. That's going to make your app unique. And if you have to start banning people for that type of talk because you want to be in line with Google, you're going to piss off a lot of people. You're going to look like a fraud. You're going to look like broken promises. And going into the election, that's not something you want to do. This is not a good time to piss off the base. Now is the time to be strategic with Trump's voters, Trump voters, MAGA, dark MAGA, and put the user first. Don't succumb to Google, because if you succumb to Google and you start deleting tweets about, you know, some guy, what did he say? Let's put this back on the screen. This guy said, F the feds. The Second Amendment is not about shooting a deer, lock and load. Like, all right. You know, that could be inciting violence. So on and so forth. Another one here is we are about to enter a civil war. Now this is just like, nobody really believes that, right? However, you got to let that stuff slide on your app. That's what you promised. That was the promise you made. You made the promise that this is what you were going to provide people. That's the promise you made. So you got to hold good on your promise. You got to hold good on your promise. You can't you can't backtrack now. Yes, I got a new camera, Tyler. I'm gonna get the super chats in a second too. But you can't backtrack now. You cannot backtrack now. Now is not the time. You better double down. If you promise free speech, you deliver free speech, and you don't succumb to Google. I'm gonna go to super chats now. Let's see here. True bearded renter, thank you. He said True Social sounds like a crap show. I'm gonna keep my comments to myself. I think that's funny. I'm not gonna say I disagree. He said, I personally get tired of all new social media platforms. Me too. Me too. Everybody wants to pump up. I got a new app and we promise people free speech. Blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. No, you don't. You want to make some money. Just say you want to make some money. You know, just be honest. Say, yo, I want to make some money. I got a place. And the other thing is, these people don't even create nothing new. Like, all these apps are just Twitter clones and Facebook clones. You know, say, hey, look, I'd like to create a Facebook clone for my people, for my community. I just call it that. You know, they should have just called it Trump app. That would have been better than True Social. At least you're not making a promise of free speech. You just say this is where Trump people hang out. Right? Jabari Judah, he said Koreans did that to these Africans who tried to open a beauty supply store around the corner from my biz. She came to my bar to complain about it. See? And remember they was talking about all that Asian hate? Oh, black folks is hating on Asian folks. Oh, it's a lot to the story people ain't getting. It's a lot to the story people ain't getting. Jabari, thank you. He said a lot of FBA accounts got suspended from Twitter today. Most were beefing with Scoon. Really? Oof. You got to be careful. You got to be careful. Kamar Daniel, donations. Thank you, bro. Kamar walked me through. I had a little technical support issue getting my new camera set up today. And Kamar, work. I'm here. Wait. Fuck. Ah, shit. Okay, maybe it didn't work. I have to tweak something with my camera. Hold on. My bad. I'm pretty sure there's like a timer. I want to say there's a timer on my camera, and I have to fix it. I have to fix the timer. And unfortunately, I don't think I'll be able to hold on, wait. Maybe if I do this and then do that, will that work? Ah, there we go. All right, I fixed it. I'm back. Yeah, I think there's a timer on my camera I have to turn off. I think it turns off after 30 minutes, so I probably have to turn that off. But yeah, Kamar is working. We're up and running. Thank you very much for your help. The cable, it was just a different cable I needed to get. I ran to Best Buy and got the cable in there, so on and so forth. But yeah, you got to be careful with Twitter, because people will bait you into saying something that goes against TOS, and if you even have like the wrong tone, Twitter will ban you. You know, if it even seems like harassment, Twitter will ban you. So be careful. You know, it could get ugly really quick. Wait, did my shit just go out again? Ah, man, motherfucker. Oh man. See what happens when you get new shit? All right. Well, I'll have to figure out why this is doing this. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. I will see you next time. Hotep and Bill.